right, y'all. My bad. I hit the wrong button as usual. And that's how we're going to start our day. Good morning, everyone. And happy Yom Kippur to all of those celebrating today. I want to wish you all my best. How are you doing today? So, yesterday, you might have seen after the live, I kind of jumped on spontaneously because I was just kind of curious on what's going on in the world with the craziness where individuals have adapted or adopted the mentality and privilege to judge others and not be honest and transparent with people. So that was a little hot topic that got me a little agitated yesterday. So if you saw it, great. If not, don't worry. All the playbacks will be found on my YouTube channel, which is Andrea Mason from Victim to Victorious. So let's jump into it. How are you doing, y'all? Today is Tuesday. No, it's not Tuesday. Wow. Today is Thursday, October 2nd. And I am excited for your support. As you see, the sun is rising behind me. It's not as chilly as yesterday, but it is a bit, which I don't understand because it's 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And yesterday was in the high 40s, low 50s, and it wasn't, I was layering up. So I don't know what's going on. You can see my breath as I go. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into it, shall we? So what I figured today is I know a lot of questions come to pass when we talk about the opportunity when people are starting a business, engaged in a business, or just beginning and not making the grade, if you will. Excuse me. A lot of the greats say usually it takes about 3 to 5 years on average to really become and pop to the next level of success. Well, I'm going to share with you today, I'm going to educate you a little bit and based on my personal experiences because everybody doesn't have a cookie cutter way of learning or getting taught. So if you know anything about me, I'm authentically integral with that mindset. As I posted yesterday, I aim high, AIM, the new AI, which has been my original AI, authentically integral mindset. So when we are in business, starting up a business, or even if you're an employee, right? We want to make sure that we have the proper tools, mindset, and effective communication and listening when we are taking our level, our roles from transactions, closing the deal and making a pitch and, signing someone on to transformation and how legacy driven leadership converts into premium clients. And this was something that I thought was so amazing in my journey. And it still is every day, every time I connect with someone and they're ready to take the path less traveled, the life transformational journey that I call and develop press play, plan life according to you. Sorry, there's a bug in my eye and it just really is annoying. Okay. So when we talk about that, when we talk about premium clients and how the transactions become transformational and how you build legacy driven leadership, that converts us to what we talk to premium clients. Now, I don't know about you, but I have transformed and I am not a fan of clients. That word, it just has a negative connotation in me personally. So I call them candidates, journey walkers, truth seekers, or legacy builders. It really, I'm very particular if you have connected with me on any platform or any junction that words are very important. It's not only how you say it, but also the verbiage that you're using. So how do we do this and why this works? So what I've learned over the course of time is that when we have an opportunity, right, and that we are building our business, building and utilizing our network as our net worth, we want to understand the mindset of the investors, the people that are going to join us, that are going to sign up with us. And, one of the things coming from corporate America in the mental health world for over a few decades was that I've understood that high valued premium customers, okay, well, I'll use that word, that's a little bit softer than clients or investors, don't buy services, right? They invest in their outcome, in the results. And that's what I produce. I don't produce excuses, I produce results, live hand results based on what you want to do and how you want to get to your next level of success. So when they are investing in the outcome, what this ability is that this allows you as the vendor, the supporter, the problem solver, the strategist, the consultant, to be considered as a strategical partner, as I mentioned, a problem solver, as opposed to just a vendor. You know what I mean? And so they are putting stake in the game where they are actually making the investment, making the decision to actually produce results and confide in you. And when this happens, it allows you to have the ability to understand that you are not just pitching an idea across the board, but you are making sure that you are understanding what the needs of the individual is, the decision maker, and how they want to produce income and how they want to produce and have impact and influence, not just deliverables. It's all about the structure and the framework. Not saying that you're not providing them the actual managerial or business mindset formula, but that you're utilizing it in the words of people who are interested in what you have to provide. When I was in nonprofit, we were always about never really discussing price. We were always about all that would shy the individual away. They may not benefit from it. But, the cliche, and this is probably old school. Sorry, my necklaces got tangled. I'm old school, but if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. And how many people, and that's not wrong or that's not mean, but think about it. The prime examples that are across the board is that you invest in a gym membership every year. The top of the year, you get this annual discount for a great service. All right, this is bothering me. Hold on, guys. I can't see what I'm doing. And there we go. You purchase or make an investment in a year membership or so for the gym, and how many times do you really go? Or you do the other point where you go into trainings and webinars and trainings and seminars to get personal and professional development. But how many of individuals are actually applying what they've learned, apply what you teach? And so that's where it aligns with me that, you want to make sure that you meet the individuals where they're at and that you drive impact and influence so they can make an investment, not just a deliverable, a shiny object. The other component that, why this works is also because I don't know about you, but how many of y'all nowadays, we all shop at Amazon, some way, shape, or form, right? And how many of us go right to the customer reviews? And, there used to be an old school magazine of Consumer Reports, dating myself as well. But this allows you to build trust, emulating and educating people why they should choose you over the others. And it allows you to really step into your passion of what is giving you the leverage to make an investment with you. Does that make sense? And that's what I think it's really about. When we see how things work, we want to first understand that The individual who is walking beside you or purchasing your product or service or even listening to your coaching style or even as an employee, you want to make sure that the customer is receiving great value. They're making why they should make an investment in you. And two, that it aligns with you personally, that you have a message, a vision statement, a mission, even when you are hired as an employee, that you are creating a legacy first to blaze the trail of your role in that business, in that role with your family, in that connection with, even if you're starting up your own business, to directly have a high value when you're making impact. And then, so some of the ways that we do that is, we want to kind of be mindful of who you are. What is it about you? I'm going to give a kind of old school funny cliche, but there's a stigmatism when it comes to car salesmen, right? That they're phony, they're scammy, but when you think about it, not all of them, but some are. But when you think about what they're doing, is they are really tapping into understanding who you are, that mindset. When I was working at my last job, I loved my job. And this is a tidbit for young entrepreneurs or young people going into the workforce, or mentorship, apprenticeship, internship. You want to make sure that your mindset is correct. And what I'm going to tell you guys is, have that opportunity where you can ask questions. Remember, when you're applying for a job, when you're starting for a business, when you're entering a relationship, you want to do your due diligence as well. So you want to ask yourself kind of, what are you seeking? What is the high stakes of value that you are seeking? And that it's the individuals that are connecting with you are looking for enhancement of quality of life, right? They're looking for solutions. They're looking for transformation, not just tactics. One of the things that I've learned on my journey here is that people value you by your skill sets, by your areas of improvement and strength. Now, notice I said areas of improvement because a lot of individuals, want their CVs, their resumes, their accolades, and their credibility. But in the end, really, guys, it's not a matter of that. Sure, you achieved them, and I commend you for the investment of time, money, and knowledge. But they're making an investment in you on what and how you can walk beside them, right? And that goes in alignment with how you position yourself, as opposed to being scarce, as to a reliable and high value resource. Now you say, Andrea, well, how do I do that if I'm in a relationship? Well, when you're engaging in a relationship, whether it's personal or professional, you want to know and understand what is the value that I'm getting and receiving, as well as contributing, right? You don't want somebody in a relationship where one is doing all the work and the other is just sitting sidecar. You don't want a relationship where you don't feel comfortable in communicating. You don't want a relationship where it's one-sided. They always used to say a relationship is 50-50. No, a relationship is 100% and 100%. Are you all in, and are you giving 100%? So that's the kind of way you want to position yourself. That's for personal relationships. When you talk about being an employee for an employer, go back to the question: why is this space open? What happened to the previous employer that had this position? What was the pain points of the business? What are you guys aiming to achieve? What are the areas of improvement? Prod them, because it's just as much as you need a job, they need a valued employee. So make sure you put yourself as a high value resource. And especially when you are in the market of entrepreneurship and starting up a business, what is putting you and setting you aside from other people in the industry? What is it that you have that they need? We talk about the legacy framework, building a legacy. You have to understand that when you are working with someone, Maya Angelou says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Again, Maya Angelou says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Have you ever had a friendship or a relationship with somebody and then you parted ways due to distance, crossover, or you just agreed to disagree? And then you look back and you're like, wow, that was a really valuable relationship. I missed that, you know? So when you're building a legacy framework in, your structure of professional and personal development, you want to make sure that your mentorship, your teachings, your lessons and losses have the ability to be observed, to be supervised, to applied, critiqued, modified, and then mastered. That's the best way in life to go about things of life lessons. You learn from someone, you learn from an educator, a teacher, a leader, an authoritative person, your parents, your elders. And then what do is you observe them. You see how they do it. What do I want to repeat and what do I want to dismiss? And then you ask them for supervision. Hey, am I doing this right? Is this correct? And then you apply it so you can get critiqued. All right, this is what I've learned. This is what I've applied. Is this helpful? And am I producing it the proper way? And then you could add your own authentic twist. That's what the beauty of it is. You could add your signature fingerprint and imprint in upon it. And then once you master it, then you can pass it on and carry out that legacy. And then finally, we talk about the components of the visibility. When we are talking about the opportunities of, going from transactional to transformational, how legacy driven leadership converts into premium clients. Again, this is not just umbrellaed over business. This is also can be relatable to your relationships, to your personal and professional growth, your self development. You know what I mean? And so when we talk about the visibility equation, what does that look like? We talk about the ability of really putting yourself in the public eye. Remember yesterday, every single second counts, but it's how you show up and the impact and influence you have upon others. I can't think right now of the author of this quote, but it's people don't remember you for what you do, but how you made them feel. And that goes with the visibility equation of your personal brand. Mine is authentically integral. I've just always been that way. I won't change. That's how I am, how I always will be. What you see is what you get. No excuses, no filter, right? And then how you come across emotionally. Are you that business mindset where it's just dictation, lecture, and leadership? Or do you have that component of the emotional aspect that you bring to the table? I bring personal experiences. I bring here and now live situations, and you want to make sure that you resonate your message with your audience. Can they relate to you? Is this something that's malleable, that they can apply, that can say, you know what, Andrea? I've been there, or I've done that, or on the playback or thereafter. When Andrea mentioned that, that makes sense. Now it resonates with me. And my kindred spirit, my coach, my mentor, the man I work with that I enjoy, Les Brown, he talks about the strategies of storytelling. It's one thing that, hey, these are Ray-Ban glasses and they're really, well equipped and they block out UV rays. Yeah, Ray-Ban is the product and brand. Emotionally resonant, yes, you're able to see better. It has less stress on your eyes, but you're able to say, when I put these glasses on, not only am I able to gain clarity, right? but I have a sense where my eyes are protected and I can see clearly. I don't have the reflection, and with the UV components of Ray-Ban, they're high quality product. And then you go into the power of storytelling. When I began, when I, as hold on, let me get set. So let me put these on. Pardon the strap because my mentality and my memory is horrible. So I have a strap to keep us, so I don't lose them. But the storytelling. So these are Ray-Ban sunglasses, right? So I can talk about, I always had a pair of sunglasses, but they weren't really high quality. They didn't bring great value. They didn't reflect the rays of the sun, and they didn't fit my face properly. And I remember going into the store and I was looking for a pair of sunglasses, and the vendor said, what is it you're looking for? So I put the pain points of what I was looking for, something to frame my face, something that looked, fashionable, that didn't look too crazy, didn't look too cheap, something that was of high quality, and something that would solve the problem of the impact of the strong rays of the sun, right? And when I put these on, it just looked right. It felt right. It was a sunny day. I was able to not squint when I had them on. And so I made that investment. But why did I make that investment? Because I had a storyline behind it. I was able to speak with the vendor and relate to them, understand that, my eyes are very sensitive as I get older to light. And that I wanted something that was fashionable. I wanted something that was kind of universal, not stoic, like big rounded, so I didn't see my face. I wanted something that had a little pizzazz to it. And I wanted something that was me. And so when you talk about the components of being an employee for someone else on their products and services, or for yourself, or even personally who you are, that storytelling component can really attract premium investor, premium buyers, premium purchasers, premium people who want to be, come into your life. So these are these are some of the areas that I want you to think of when you are looking as a person of transition, a person of transaction, when you're an employee, an employer, your own business, when you're selling a product service, or when you're making that network connection. We talk about that individuals are investing in you and the results, not the services you provide. We talk about the mindset shift of really getting into a deeper dive of why they should connect with you, what's their value that they're getting, and how you be resourceful and an asset as just opposed to an employer or a connection. And the legacy framework, what is the domino effect of how you show up in the world? Are you providing a legacy of being ability to take that skill set, to observe and learn from others? Coaches need coaches. I don't know why my eye is twitching, whatever. And how you can observe and take information, apply it, be supervised on it, make modifications, and then put that into a mentorship or a mastermind, and then teach it to others. And then we dovetail it and, close it with the visibility equation. Are you showing up? Are you being authentic? Are you practicing what you teach? This is about your brand. When somebody sees the AM with the, pardon me, the AM with the symbolism in, they can either see that as butterfly wings, angel wings, or a lotus flower. That's transformation in my brand, in my logo. And then you talk about the emotional component. Are you meeting the person where they're at on an emotional basis, being empathetic, being sympathetic? And then are you able to resonate your message? Why should they connect with you? Why should they invest with you? Why should you be a part of their world and lives? And then the storytelling component, because believe you me, the power of global exposure amongst affiliates, relationships, media, and platforms is going to get you far. So that in a nutshell is what I have for you for the daily dose, the daily drop of Andrea Mason Live. I thank you for your support. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. This is a little bit over, but I figured I'd give you a little tutorial today. Just change it up, because yesterday, the past couple of weeks was been informative and relatable, but why not teach? Why not give it an educational component? So thank you so much for listening. Hey, welcome. Thank you so much, Masood. I appreciate it. So again, this is Andrea Mason, your first choice, your global voice, alumna of Les Brown and the CEO of Press Play, Plan Life According to You, LLC, lifestyle, legacy and lifestyle consultant, and global ambassador. And remember, in the words of Maya Angelou, people don't care how much they know until they know how much you care. And I care for you, showing up for you every day. Again, happy Yom Kippur to all those out there celebrating and recognizing it. I wish you the best. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow, which is, wow, Friday already, October 3rd. So stay tuned for the daily dose, the daily drop. And if you want to catch playbacks of these videos, they will be found and housed on my YouTube channel, Andrea Mason, From Victim to Victorious. Thank you so much. One love. I'll see you real soon. Be well. Ciao.